All right, getting close to the end here. Study supplier safety policies today. So the task is to implement, monitor, and promote organizational and supplier safety policies and procedures. Got a couple of rules of thumb here. Number one, everyone should be able to grow old enough with all their appendages intact to become a problem to their children. And then number two, if it looks dangerous, 9 times out of 10, it probably is. Laws and regulations. So buyers must be able to address the issue of compliance with environmental, health, and safety law in the country where they work and in each country in which they conduct business. So laws are similar in a lot of countries, but a lot of them they're not. So USA, Occupational Safety and Health Act, OSHA from 1970, established workplace safety standards, provided rules for conducting investigations of accidents, implemented record-keeping requirements, and required research on safety in the workplace issues. So states have also enacted their own versions of OSHA. So there's this federal OSHA and there's a state OSHA in most states. Include compliance with the law clauses in contracts to ensure supply base meets OSHA requirements. So in PACCAR's T's and C's, it's paragraph 17. OSHA carries both criminal and civil penalties for managers when there are violations. So you can go to jail for screwing this up. The legal trend is to hold third-party buyers accountable when they knew about the violations but did not do anything about it. Occupational Safety and Health Administration is part of the U.S. Department of Labor. And the WHO, the World Health Organization, a division of the United Nations, also has universal precautions protocol to follow. Personal liability, taking a person on a plant to or through a dangerous or unauthorized area can get you sued on a personal level, not only a corporate level. And organizational liability laws in many countries require one employer to ensure the safety in the workplace, require the employer to ensure safety in the workplace. Failure to do so can result in civil or criminal charges. And that's US, Europe, Japan, most of the major industrialized countries. Department of Transportation, responsible for regulations concerning safety and transport on air, water, or ground. Most other countries have an equivalent to the DOT. And then the International Labor Standards, some codes of practice from the organization. Occupational Safety and Health Convention 1981 provides for adoption of national occupation safety and health policy. Promotional framework for OSHA convention promotes a preventive safety and health culture from 2006. In Europe, you've got the restriction of hazardous substances, ROHS, places restriction on certain hazardous substances in electrical and electronic equipment sold or used in the European Union. Now includes medical devices and will include industrial instruments. So registration, evaluation, authorization, and restriction of chemical substances, REACH in the EU, regulation on chemicals and their safe use. It's like the US SDS requirements. Supplier data sheets. Waste Electronical and Equipment Directive, the WEEE, an EU directive which sets collection, recycling, and recovery targets for electrical goods and makes producers responsible for financing the elimination of hazardous waste that they created. The liability is perpetual and never ends. Once you produce it, you own it. That's Europe. So policies and procedures, employee safety, training requirements, provide training on things like personal protection, equipment, fire drills, etc. Buyers should require suppliers to provide certification of their safety training. And I've always found when I visited a supplier that if they're doing that and doing a good job, that's one of the first things the plant manager wants to show me. Personal protective equipment. Company must provide things like helmets, goggles, toe caps. Managers can be liable if they don't. Safety data sheets, SDS, must be on file for toxic materials in the workplace. Can include cleaning materials and copier toner because they've got some hazardous materials in them. Must be posted in an area where the employees are working and list safety procedures and emergency response techniques. SDS is provided by the supplier of the material. That's usually a question. Supplier of the material. Work environment safety, office and warehouse safety. Guidelines for ensuring a safe work environment include things like proper uniforms, designate proper emergency exits, open discussions for safety rules and general working environment, promote health codes, proofing the building, inspecting the building regularly to detect needed improvements. Records retention provides a defense against lawsuits and government investigations. So information documentation, records management is the international standard for records management. This is an ISO standard. Records retention policy should include what type of record exists, what does it cost to maintain these records, how should the records be preserved, what department should retain them, how are they going to be filed, who should have access to them, what purpose is served in the retention, and how long should the records be retained. General standard for retention is the statute of limitations for lawsuits related to the documents. Contracts under UCC have a 4-year limitation. Income tax records should be kept for 6 years. Periodic destruction of records is tied to the statutory requirement for retention, but must have an override feature if the records are involved in an investigation. Just because their time comes up doesn't mean you can destroy them. Characteristics of a best-in-class records retention policy: ease of access to records in a workable system, required authorization, organized so all related material can be cross-referenced, establishment of time for retention of the record, and process for overriding periodic destruction. Supplier and subcontractor safety. The buyer cannot eliminate liability with a contract clause. Check suppliers and subcontractors' safety history. You don't want to be working with somebody that's got a terrible safety history. OSHA requires records of workplace injuries be kept. Best-in-class companies will have safety goals, which are measured by the following: all injury incident rate, it's the number of injuries and illnesses times 200,000 total employee hours worked, which equals the incident rate. And 200,000 comes from 40 hours times 50 work weeks, 2 weeks worth of vacation, times 100 employees. Lost work injury rate, number of injuries with lost work days, times 200,000 divided by total hours worked. And this is just an example. Your company may be different, or your organization. Also called the days away restricted or DART rate, the lost work injury rate, the DART rate. Many companies require suppliers and subcontractors to participate and keep records of training, and training can be done over the internet. So if you want to know more about the all injury incident rate, you can go to this website, which should be the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Yeah. And you can actually calculate it here. But it also talks about it more if you go back, and they'll talk about their injury rates in here. Industry organizations should review requirements and best practices in their industry. Requirements, organizations meet or exceed all industry-specific requirements for health and safety. And best practice organizations should solicit best practices in their industry. There are various websites dedicated to promoting and disseminating such best practices. Storage requirements, systems should be established for the storage and maintenance of documents, and policies and procedures should be made easily accessible. The organization's performance relative to policies should also be documented. Customers in the consumer products and food industry have made supply chain safety very important for obvious reasons, especially the food industry. Newsworthy incidents of fire, earthquake damage, etc. at your suppliers can impair your brand image. Just ask Nike when they were making Nike stuff at a place in Bangladesh, I think, and burned down, killed a bunch of people because all fire exits were blocked. Got to know where your supply base is. Okay, so today in a global environment, safety and health issues not only apply to safety of the work environment, employees and supplier personnel, but also apply to intellectual property rights. I don't think so. Product regulations, environmental hazards, could be ethical conduct of foreign countries. I think the best answer is probably C here. Okay. The one thing I don't like about this when it opens this way. Oh, B, product regulations. Okay. Is, you can't blow it up. No, let's go find it. We want L4. Oh, that's the wrong one. We want the answers to L4. Okay, so B is correct because health safety law directives cover product regulations. All right. Individuals or corporations in the U.S. may be held liable for injuries to persons injured while on a plant tour under which of these laws? Criminal law, yes. Occupational Safe and Healthy Act, I don't think so. Personal liability, yes. Organizational liability. I think the answer is either A or C that I'm looking for. I'd go with C. It is. Okay, go look at some summary. Ensuring that an organization complied with U.S. law usually meant the organization would be covered in other parts of the world. With fast-paced global changes such as the growth and power and influence of the European Union, this is no longer the case. In the United States, workplace safety is covered by the OSHA enacted in 1970. Organizations should develop safety policies and procedures that not only ensure compliance with laws, but have their goal the best available tools and systems ensuring employee safety. And the restricted hazardous substances is in the purpose of which place restrictions are on certain use of hazardous substances in the European Union. And safety data sheets, which changed from material safety data sheets, MSDS, in 2012 must be on file for toxic materials category that includes items ranging from toner for copy machines to cleaning solvents suitable for household use. The registration, evaluation, authorization, and restriction of chemicals is the EU regulation on chemicals and their safe use, which came along in 2007. All right, there's some questions out there. L4, how many we got? Oh, and I got 5. So starting on them, and we'll go over answers in a minute. Okay, let's go over some answers. Number 1 is Charlie. That's how you figure it. Number 2 is Alpha. 3 is Delta. 4 is Alpha. And 5 is Bravo. All right. That concludes safety. We'll do all 5 tomorrow. See you.